see different software reports that are available. I can see a breakdown of the various databases and the versions that fit in my environment. So again, through this particular dashboard, I have the ability to go in and quickly assess what software is running in my environment, and how that software is being used, again, by being able to back into the view of the service model. I can see where the software is running. I can see what device it's running on, what business service it's part of, and so on. Again, breaking down those silos of information. So another use case, another scenario might be I'm an operations guy, and we've got an issue going on with VM sprawl, right? Nobody's ever heard of VM sprawl. Everybody, uses a virtual machine for testing, and then they go through and they decommission it. Not in every case. In that situation, I might just want to really quickly drill in and run a quick report to find out what devices are out there that I can remove from the VMware environment. So to do this, I might go in and customize my host list and create a very quick query that says, well, what I want to do is I want to look for virtual machines that have no particular business software running on them. Now remember, a software instance in ADDM's case is something that we recognize as being a data center class application. It's not the Microsoft Office. It's not the Solitaire. It's not the media player. It's the data center class application. So what I want to do is I want to get a count of the machines that are out there. So I quickly create this little report, and what I can see is I got a list of VM machines that are literally providing no function to my organization. If I drill into the machines, I can get the information about those machines, who they belong to. I can contact the business owner and say, hey, is it okay to shut these machines down, and go through the proper decommissioning process. I also might have, as an operations guy, a need to understand what processes, critical processes I need to monitor on the servers that are supporting critical business applications. Well, unless I'm extremely familiar with every application in my environment, I'm going to have to go and touch each of these application owners and support people for those applications and find out exactly what it is that I need to be monitoring in order to keep these applications running. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to quickly jump in and take a look at an easy example here. So what I've got is I've got a number of devices that are making up my email hub, and I want to monitor my exchange process because the exchange process is actually part of my stock trading application so that I can notify my customers of receipts and updates and things of that nature. So how do I find out what process is critical to monitor on that particular device? Well, I drill in. I see that the primary exchange server application is mad.exe, and the associated processes are EMS MPA and store.exe, and I know that I need to, as part of the exchange monitoring, monitor those particular processes. I also have the ability to visualize those processes that are running to create that application. So again, if I'm a visual person, I need to go in and I need to see the various processes that are intercommunicating with each other. So I understand dependencies between processes and so on. I have the ability to go in and say, let's look at this from a process view. So that view we saw of the exchange environment earlier was at the application level. We can't monitor an application. We have to monitor the processes. So in order to understand the processes and the interrelationships, we have the ability to visualize the dependencies that each of those applications and processes have on the other applications. So I can see here's my BlackBerry Enterprise server and these processes that depend on that BlackBerry server. I can see here I'm running a router engine here on this particular server, and again, my Windows environment. All of that information and the process communications between them can be depicted in these visualizations. So again, it helps the visually stimulated individuals like myself to be able to capture that. Now, also early on, I mentioned that there's the ability for us to go through and through a web API, create integrations with other applications. Here's an application that was developed that would allow, say, my security people to be able to keep tabs on what's going on in the environment without giving them access to the ADDM console itself, but again, providing them a dashboard view of this. Now, this is a publicly available piece of software. You can download it and plug it into any ADDM instance and pull the information out based on what's in that instance of ADDM. But again, what we've got is we've got a compliance risk, and if I tap on that, I can get some detailed information through it. And again, this is all through a web API interface. Same thing with security risk. I can see where I've got problems, open ports that shouldn't be open. I've got a telnet host out here somewhere, which is strictly forbidden in our environment. And again, I can build these integrations, these dashboards, all based on the web APIs without having to go out and export that out to a different piece of software or a different database and create an application that relies on directly drilling into that database. So again, depending on how I want to format the information, I can have it set so that I can just fly over, or if I click on it, I can actually bring up the image in a different view, things of that nature. So that's kind of a very fast, very quick harbor cruise that we've taken through ADDM. Again, I need to mention that the only way you're going to get an accurate view of the business context within your environment is to have an application dependency mapping product that is both thorough and up to date and provides consistent information across the environment. So with that, I am pretty well done with the demo portion of the slide. I'm going to turn it back over to Dick real quick.
Thanks very much, Joe. Hey, great job. And now, by the way, would be a good time to submit some questions. We already have some coming in. We did say that we would be at about 45 minutes, so for those of you that want to jump off, that's just fine. I did want to just mention quickly, and because we're talking about why IT asset discovery alone is not enough. Well, what happens if you've discovered everything out there, and maybe you've mapped the applications and dependencies using ADDM, but maybe you need an asset management report, and there may be an inventory somewhere, maybe a bunch of laptops or desktops that haven't been deployed, or maybe they've been end of life, but they're still kind of technically on the asset report. Well, if you have a barcode scanner, and of course you can see here it's integrated with either Remedy or Remedy Force or in particular case Footprint Service Core as well, then you can take inventory, or you can reconcile what you have with what you think you have, and you can even do, if you've had a receiving application, you could even scan a bunch of products in. So it's a very functional product. It's been around for a long time, and we've been selling it now for, I think, going on 10 years. So it's not like it's brand new. It works very well. We have different modules like fleet management and mailroom, and you can just get a terrific return on your investment then. So let's go through some questions now, and I can go ahead and read some of these questions off, and then Joe, you can answer them. And I know we'll spend the rest of the time here just on Q&A. So I hope you all of you that are out there would want to stick around. But remember, we'll go ahead and give out that $50 American Express gift card as well. One question here that came up in the Q&A window is, I don't think that this was specifically covered, but ADDM will automatically discover the number of sockets and cores and other specifications in the hardware, like identifying types of processors, or is that information manually entered somewhere? Joe, did you see that one?
No, actually, I did not see any of the questions. I didn't have the chat window open. So,
okay.
So the ADDM product does have the ability to distinguish between physical processors and cores. What we can't do is we can't figure out, well, in many cases, there's no way to understand how many cores are associated with a particular application. For instance, in the case of having to license an application like Oracle or something based on the number of cores. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So is that information manually entered somewhere then?
It's actually part of the information that we will collect. So we'll display both physical CPU and logical CPU information.
Okay. And so part of that you would just enter, it would become part of the CMDB then, right?
Yes. If that data is necessary in the CMDB, yes.
Okay. Next question is, in the example of the machines providing no value to the organization, is that ownership information pulled from the CMDB?
That's a great question. So again, part of the ability that ADDM has is during that reasoning process, when we instantiate a host, we have the ability to go out and look at external data, whether that's the CMDB or whether that's a spreadsheet or whether it's an external database. But we can basically do a lookup. An example of that might be I found a host. I'm instantiating a host that's on a particular IP subnet. I've associated that IP subnet with a facility, so I can extrapolate location where location's really not discoverable other than the IP address and being able to do a cross reference. So that's an example of where when we instantiate a host, we've done an external lookup to another data source and enhance the data within ADDM.
Okay. Next question. In your examples, generally, how are you discovering the owner and location information?
Right. So I think we just kind of covered that. It's basically what we're doing is a lookup information, an external lookup.
Okay. Next question. The dashboards are very exciting. I think I literally drooled. Okay. Is there a primer or some sort of documentation regarding the various reports available?
So the great thing about ADDM is that there is a website called discovery.bmc.com. That website will tell you everything you need to know about the product and more. It's completely open to access. You can go in and you can see all of the applications that we recognize. You can see all of the hardware, all of the network devices that we recognize. And you can understand all of the default reports, all of the default dashboards, how to create your own reports and dashboards. All of that documentation is online and it's available through, again, discovery.bmc.com.